Okay, the KSi VariRate controller is a control system that is designed to allow you to deliver a specific rate of seed through your treating device, and also to give a signal to the pumps, the liquid pumps, to tell them when to turn on and when to turn off based on when there is or is not seed flow going through the treater. The VariRate controller can be put on any existing or new treating system that does not already have a seed flow device. The only requirement is that there is a scale with a hopper, as this VariRate controller uses loss and weight technology to deliver the seed flow at a specific rate. So it's going to be looking at the scale, at the loss and weight on that scale, monitoring that loss and weight 10 times per second, and making adjustments to the gate to deliver your target rate. So this system is a standalone system that allows you to have a seed flow rate control device in your treating system. When you turn your KSi VariRate controller on, this is the home screen. This is the screen that you will see. This is the screen that you will spend the majority of your time on when you're using and operating the VariRate controller. We will go through the different configurations, the different windows, the different settings in this VariRate controller, and then how to operate it. Up along the top, we have a row of buttons: mode select, scale setup, VariRate setup, pump setup. And here in the middle, we have a picture of a scale hopper and a conveyor. This VariRate controller can be put in a system where the scale is directly over top of the treater, or when the scale is on the ground, staged, with a conveyor between the scale and the treater. And we have a gate HOA and a pump HOA that allow you to manually turn on or open the gate, or turn on the pumps or turn them off. And then some buttons over here on the right that are basically, the discharge pause and the pump enable when to turn the system on or off. Okay, starting along the top, the mode select. If we click on mode select, this opens a window that gives you some selection and some configuration for your system. The VariRate mode select, as you can see, there's 5 different select buttons over here on the left, with a boost column and a description column. The boost column, if you select any of these fields here, you can select them and it'll open up a keypad where you can enter in a percentage. And what this is this is the boost that the system is going to boost your gate open to this percent. So 35% is when you push start, the gate is going to go immediately open to 35% and then start to adjust from that 35%. The goal is to get your boost so that it opens as far as possible, as close to the target as possible, without overshooting the target. So if we spend a lot of time, the gate spends a lot of time, being about 40% open, we would want the boost to be maybe 35%, 5% under the actual of what it does during the run. And then a little description here tells you, allows you to say what this boost is for. Generally speaking, from 200 to 300 pounds per minute differences from run to run, you don't need a different boost. It's not that critical. But let's say you're running 800 pounds per minute and you go to 1800 pounds per minute. The 800 pounds per minute, obviously we want the gate to boost open less than we would if we were running 1800 pounds per minute. The 800 pounds per minute may have a boost of 20%, and the 1800 pound per minute may have a boost of 40%. So this VariRate mode select allows you to keep those selections in memory so that you don't have to recall what your boost needs to be at when you're running at a different rate. One thing I will point out, if we go back to our home screen, there's a field right here above and to the left of the gate. This shows you the actual percentage that the gate is open. So this is something to take note of. When your system is running at a rate of whatever, say 1,200 pounds per minute, this percentage may say 35%, and it's going to fluctuate between 35% and 35.5% or whatever. What you want to do is look at that number, and then in the mode select, when you're deciding on the boost, you would want, generally speaking, we say set your boost at 5% less than what this says. So if this is spending a lot of time at 30%, then set your boost, or 35%, then set your boost here at 30%. So if we are changing rates dramatically, we can come in here and select a different or store different boost percentages and select those from run to run. The back button here takes us back to the home page. The next button here is Scale Setup. If we click Scale Setup, it takes us to a window where there's just a couple fields. The empty wait timer and the empty wait set point. These are related to the scale and telling the system when the scale is empty. So with this configuration, when the scale has reached 30 pounds or less for 1 second, the system is going to say your scale is empty. We're going to go ahead and clean it out, and at that point it'll open your scale gate all the way up, let the hopper clean out whatever is left in it. Just should be a few pounds, and then close again. So this is where you go to configure that. The next button is the VariRate Setup. If we click that, these are control parameters, not something that you will want to come in and change as the operator unless directed by a KSi technician. These parameters or we will set these up, help you set them up specific to your site if it's needed. But generally speaking, you will not need to come in here. Again, this VariRate boost is something you would set up from the mode select. The next button is the pump setup. This is these three fields are specific to your pump and when they turn on and off. Since we are controlling off of the scale, there is going to be a delay between when the scale gate opens and when seed actually gets to the treater. This could depend on if your scale is stacked over your treater or if there's a conveyor between your scale and your treater, and how long that conveyor is. And so this is where you want to come to the pump setup to configure those timers. The middle field, let's start with this one. This is the scale to treater delay. This is really your baseline for the time. If it takes 3 seconds from when your gate opens on your scale, you start timing, and from the first seed gets out of the scale into the treater. If that's 3 seconds, you would put the scale to treater delay at 3 seconds. Now, whenever your system starts, whenever the gate opens, it's going to wait 3 seconds before it gives the pump the signal to turn on. The field on the left, the pre-start timer preset, this allows you to turn your pumps on a little bit early. So if you wanted to start treating, your scale to treater delay might be 3 seconds, but if you wanted to start your pumps and start applying treatment maybe a half a second before the seed got there, you could put in a half a second here, and then the treatment would then start if your scale to treater delay was 3 seconds and this was a half a second, your treatment would start 2.5 seconds after the gate opened on your scale. The last field is the additional pump time. This is a way to allow your system to maybe pump a little bit longer than the base 3 seconds or whatever it is. So if you wanted your treatment to apply a little bit longer, you could add that time on here. Now let's say you wanted to actually turn your treatment off a little bit sooner than the last seed went through the treater. The way you would do that is if your timer, your base was 3 seconds, and this here was set at 3 seconds, but you wanted your treatment to turn off maybe a half a second or a second sooner than the last seed went through the treater, you could change your scale to treater delay from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. And then your additional pump timer, you could either leave at 0 or a half a second. And so your system is going to think that 2 seconds after the gate closes, because that's what our scale to treater delay is, 2 seconds after your gate closes, we're going to stop applying treatment. Back on the home screen, the next button we want to look at in the next set of options is in this rate setup. The rate setup, if we click this button, takes you to a window that allows you to change how you define your rate. The rate with the VariRate controller can be defined in pounds per minute, which is this button right here. It can be defined in units per minute. When a unit is defined by pounds, so if think about this in rows, so this is a selection, this is a selection, this would be a unit per minute when a unit is defined by weight or pounds, and then the last row, rate, that define your rate by count per minute, or when a unit is defined by seed count. So the first selection here is what is selected in green, is rate by pounds per minute. If we select this and we go back, we can see that the rate set point up here on the top is 1,200 pounds per minute. This can be changed right from the home screen by clicking right on this number here and typing in a numeric entry box will come up, and you can type in whatever rate you want, and it'll change to whatever you have entered. The field right here where it says 0 pounds per minute, this is going to, when you're running, this is going to should change to what you have your rate set point set at. So if we started right now, this 0 pounds per minute is going to change to 1,200 pounds per minute, and this is what it's actually delivering. If we go back into rate setup, and we can look at the next selection, which is rate by units per minute, you can see this green box tells you what selection you have made. Again, this is selecting to or choosing to set your rate in units per minute. So if we select this, we have 50 pounds per unit, and if we go back to the home screen, we can see that when we have previously this said pounds per minute, now it says units per minute, and our rate is 50 units per minute. Again, our unit size was based on 50 pounds, so if we do the math, 50 units per minute at 50 pounds per minute equals 2,500 pounds per minute. This text box with the gray text tells you what that equates to, and this is going to be your target pounds per minute rate right here. So if we started, the 0 pounds per minute is going to match this 2,500 pound target. The third selection is rate by count per minute. This is probably going to be the most common going forward. This is defining your seed flow rate in units per minute when a unit is defined by seeds per unit. These fields are clickable, so right now it's set at 140,000 seeds per unit and 2,600 seeds per pound. So let's select this. You can see it's selected by green and go back to the home screen. You can see this top one still looks the same. It's still 50 units per minute, but there's another field right below that that shows you the seeds per pound. So this field, you can, just like you can click on the units per minute and change it, you can click on seeds per pound and change this seeds per pound number. And then it's going, when you do that, it's going to do the math and tell you the target rate in this field where with the gray text. This is not editable. This is the calculated pounds per minute rate based on these two figures. So from run to run, if your seed size is changing, you simply select this 2,600 pounds per minute, change this to whatever your seed size is, say it's 3,000 or 3,200, and push enter, and it's going to change this pound per minute right here based on the units per minute and the seeds per pound that you have entered. The next button that we want to quickly look at, the next two buttons, is the Gate HOA and the Pump HOA. These are just simply, if you click on those buttons, it takes you to a window with just an open, close, and auto, and a VariRate position, how far you want it to open. These strictly are going to always be an auto unless you have a need to manually open that gate or close that gate. If you have that gate set in either open or close, not an auto, the system is not going to automatically operate that gate. It needs to be an auto. If we have it, as you can see here, open is now selected and 50%. So the gate, if we go look at that gate, it's going to be 50% open. The pump relay HOA is the same thing. We just have a hand and an off. So if we wanted to turn our pump on in hand, we could do that by pressing hand or turn it off or press auto. Back on the home screen, you can see that this page, this screenshot here shows the system is actually running, and it shows it running by the gate has turned to green, and there's a little green arrow here. We have started it basically when you get seed in your scale and you have the correct amount of weight in your scale, you are ready to treat. You've got your treater set up, your drum running, your atomizer is on. You come to the system and you press this discharge pause button and in the lower right hand corner, and when you press that pause button, it basically unpauses your system, and it's going to open your gate and deliver your seed at this rate right here, 2692. We're not hooked up to a scale, so we only see 0 pounds per minute, but we can see that the gate is open to 35%, and if we were running, this would be right on 2692 or really, really close to 2692. It's going to fluctuate just slightly. The up in the top left-hand corner, just a quick note on these fields here, control power on. This is just an indicator that tells you if your system, if this is orange and like it looks right here, your system is on and working properly. This field right here, it says it's pump off. This is just an indicator light to tell you if your pump is on or not. Currently our pump is off, so if we are running and our timer, and it reached our timer and our pump was on, this would say pump is on. And the scale COM is green. That means that we are correctly communicating with the scale. If we get a communication fault with the scale, this is going to let you know that there is a problem. If you are treating and you run into a problem with the liquid or something, seed spillage or something, the first thing you want to do is come to the system and press this discharge pause button. You want to pause your system. When you press that, it's going to close your gate and it's going to turn your pumps off. And then it's just going to wait until you come back to it and press the discharge pause button again. Up here in the right above the conveyor graphic, there's a run detail button. This shows you at the end of every run, it'll give you the run details so that you can see how accurate your scale discharged the required rate, and if it's off by more than a percentage or two, you would know that you need to most likely make some changes to your parameters, and whether that's the boost or the control parameters, those are all some things that we can tweak and adjust and help you with. So this concludes the VariRate controller training video.